Hello, hello. Hi, friends.
Hello.
We're back. We're back. I feel like we just did this. Like, I feel like it hasn't even really been that long. But I guess it has been almost a month, a month.
I guess so. That's funny though, because it feels like I haven't done this in forever.
Well, I think we both took some vacation in June. So I feel like you and I hadn't seen each other in like 3 weeks because our vacations didn't overlap at all.
Yeah.
Well, we have a pretty stacked community call. Master Video says that they missed
Aw.
us. We love that. We missed all of you as well. And we're, like I said, we have a pretty stacked community call today. We have a lot of demos. We had a really large release, 1.1, lots of great stuff going on in 1.1. And if you haven't read the blog post, this is the link to the blog post. We're going to be showing off some of our favorite features here, but as always, there's more. There's always more. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. We also have Christian, one of our super fans, I think, saying hi from Bavaria. Thanks for tuning in. And I don't know what time it is over in Germany, but thanks for tuning in, Christian. Okay, so I guess we'll kick it off. We have like a chatty chat today. We also have a lot of folks hanging out, I think. Cool. So this is community call, I guess number 8, although who's counting at this point, right? What's happening? If you're new here, these are all the lovely people that work on the Azure Developer CLI. There's a mix of PM, engineering, UX design, research, and analytics, all these folks making the Azure Developer CLI great. So if you see us on GitHub or on Twitter or wherever you hang out on the internet, say hi, tell us what you think. But yeah, some of these folks will be in the call today as well. Cool. We're changing up the format. We're playing around with it a little bit. And if there are, things that, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. John, how do I become a super fan? Talk to us on GitHub, Twitter. Christian's always writing blogs, weighing in on issues. Come say hi. Be chatty. And also, apparently, it is 7 p.m. So this is actually okay. That's an acceptable time. I was gonna say if it's like past like 9, I feel bad. But yeah, so we're playing around with the format a little bit. So if you have like feedback on the format, would love to hear it. We're going to jump straight into demos today. And so the first one, we've talked about this feature before, but we have some updates. So I'm going to bring on Matt, our friend Matt, to talk about resource group scope deployments.
Hello. I am here now. Okay, see me here. This is great. So now what I can do is I can present my shared screen. Sharing screen is easiest with 2 monitors. Well, that's not going to happen today, computer. So, oh no, Savannah, I may have ruined everything. So many things want permission. I want to share the entire screen. Can we do this?
It's okay. My like screen with the slides on it just like turned off and went black for a second, and that ensued panic. So at least if the ship goes down, Grace can take over.
No, I think I'm so close now. Hold on.
Well, we have John and Christian going back and forth about. John wants to know how he can know or wishes that he knew as much about AZD as Christian does. Christian says John is an AZD superhero. I love that.
Okay, let me try this one more time and see if it works, or if I have to restart my browser.
We can always come back to you. We have many other folks in the chat too. That's
okay. Yeah, let's move beyond me. I said before that I would set the bar low, and so the bar is very, very low. So let's go to the next one, and then we can come back to me later, and I'll fight with this thing. So
okay. Well, this is like I don't know, I guess like foreshadowing or some kind of it's a teaser. We're calling it a teaser. It was part of the plan.
The feature is an alpha. The presentation is an alpha. It's okay. So we'll be fine. I'll be right back.
Okay. See you in a bit, Matt. Okay. Teaser trailer for resource group scope deployments. We're gonna bring on Marina. I don't know if I don't think Marina's ever been on an AZD community call. This is Marina. Marina, say hi.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is the first time I'm in community call. A little nervous here.
Oh, that's normal. I'm nervous. For what it's worth, I do this once. Grace and I do this once a month, and we always talk before this about how it's a little nerve-wracking.
I think I get more nervous every time.
People are nice, so I mean, we have some excited folks here today. So yeah, Marina, tell us about well, you worked on two really big things this release, and both of which I'm very excited about. But let's talk about the GitHub action.
All right. So we recently released the ADD as the GitHub Actions, which you can add to your YAML file and trigger GitHub Action clients with simple commands like azure/setup ADD at version 0.1.0. The action repo will be available through our link aka ms/add-gha. So what this GHA action does is it will auto-detect the operating system and architecture. Based on that, it will install the latest or a user-defined version of the Azure developer Kulin. With this GitHub action functional feature, we will provide user a high customization. For example, you could use runner images pre-install dependencies or customer with your own specific version of the dependencies, and then run all the ADD actions in the GitHub action pipelines. I'm going to show a little demo really quick. All right. So this is using one of our default templates, Python Mongo templates.
Marina, could you zoom in just a little bit? I don't know if it's just me, but it looks a little bit small.
Is it better?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Cool. So this is the part we are using our ADD as the GitHub Actions. Install the ADD, and you could choose a version. But usually, if you choose a version, you will replace a specific version here. Otherwise, you could just use line 32 to 33. You don't have to do the 34 line or 35. So,
sorry to interrupt, Marina, but it looks like someone just chatted to ask if you could zoom in a little more.
Oh, yes.
Our friend Liam.
Yeah.
Is it better?
Yes, it's very clear for me now.
Me too.
Right.
You can let us know if you need more than that.
Yeah. So using this GitHub Actions, we're gonna see a little result of the demo here. So note that this is setup jobs, checkout, and our GitHub Actions only take 1 second to install ADD. And then I'm using some login to run the provision and deploy. With this GitHub action install, it will automatically successfully run the ADD command. Previously, we were updating all the templates with our GitHub actions. Previously, we were using an all-in-one Docker image, which install all the dependencies for the templates. So that will take a longer time in this initialized containers. So using this GitHub actions, it will shorten the installation or the setup time, initialize time from 49 seconds to only 1 second.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I think also kind of matches some of the other GitHub actions that folks might be consuming, like setup node or any other kind of language or runtime dependency. So if you missed that link to the GitHub action, aka.ms/azd-gha. Cool. Thanks, Marina. If there are any questions about that, let us know. Also, if you start using the GitHub action, let us know what you think. Okay, so switching back over, Marina, you're still on the hook for another really awesome feature. There we go.
Yeah, so well, I'm going to talk about ADD as a DevContainer feature. So we recently released it as well. With this feature, we are now able to support a more standardized approach to adding the ADD clean to a DevContainer by providing a preview feature for people to use. Well, this simplifies the process of someone adding the CLI as they are no longer needing to know what additional dependencies they need to install with apt or other package manager, as that is already handled by the feature. So as a result, the dev container is simplified, and in many cases, there's no need for a separate Docker file to be used. So one of our base images can be used with the feature layered, which I'll show that later on the demo. Additionally, we can provide additional things to VS Code, such as installing extensions that work best with ADD, meaning that someone will be set up with an optimized VS Code environment for working with ADD. I'm gonna share my. Okay, I had to share my entire screen because I didn't see my VS Code showing up. Let me quickly share that.
Yeah, and while you're getting that set up, Marina, Christian just wants to say thank you for shipping this. It's really awesome. So I am also, this was one I was also very excited about. I know there were a good handful of folks asking for this, so excited that we could ship this in 1.1. Marina's screen, you will need to zoom many times, so many more times than I think is reasonable for you to work in. Every time I do this, I'm always surprised at how zoomed in I need to be. All right, that's very clear.
I'll be this size. Cool. All right. So using this using this single config line, we are adding the ADD as a dev container features. Right now we only are at 0.1.0 version. So I'm writing latest. Like, since each time you write latest, it will tag to the latest ADD container version. ADD dev container version. So we are using the Microsoft image, JavaScript node, and we have all the awesome VS Code extensions installed. So then I'm already open the dev container inside the VS Code. You have to log in first using ADD Azd login, and then we're gonna check the ADD version. It is tagged to the latest release. With this, I'm using one of the default templates, Node.js Mongo. You can run any ADD command if you like. Since I already set up the environment name, if you run ADD provision, it will just start the provision process. Well, note that this .devcontainer file, it only has the devcontainer JSON. This is because we updating all our templates using this ADD devcontainer feature. Previously, we were able to get rid of most of the templates, not rid of the Docker file. So that is increasing the dev container loading time when you are actually open the dev container. But if you want, you can also use the Docker file to custom the other features you want to install.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with what a dev container is, it's kind of like your ability to set up your local dev environment in a container. And I'm a Python developer, and dev containers have sort of changed the game for me in terms of like runtime management, acquisition. And so being able to open all my dev environment in a dev container means I don't have to fuss with any versions or anything like that, which feels super nice. And the same dev container configurations are also used for code spaces if you're working there. And all of our templates that we've authored do have dev container configurations, so you can give that a shot. Thank you, Marina, for both your work on this and also for hopping on the call.
Thank you so much, guys.
Cool. We will see you later at the end. All right. We also have this chat today is just absolutely popping off. Hello, this is Mandy. Hi, Mandy. And we also have Chris. Chris is saying hi to Mandy and also wants to be an AZD super fan. I think that's like anyone can be a super fan if you believe you're a super fan. I'm not here. Who can be a super fan or who can't be? So if you
we're not gatekeeping that.
What?
We're not gatekeeping that.
Oh,
everybody's welcome.
Yeah, we're a welcoming community here on the AZD team. All right, we've seen him before. He's back again. It's our pal Victor. Victor, let's talk about the new Docker output. This is
Hello.
so nice.
Hello. Yes. This is should be quick. Is it playing? Okay, it's playing. Yeah. So this feature was born out of the um, you know wondering of what is happening while we are building a Docker image with ACD, right? Because sometimes it was taking some time for our Docker to be built, especially if it was a large Docker file or if it was using or reusing other Dockers at the same time. So now ACD will show you all the output from Docker while it is building, right? Like what in the way that we are looking at the preview right now. It is for whenever it is packaging or deploying, ACD will show you this mini preview of what is happening with the Docker output. And yes, in case of the Docker fails or anything, the preview will disappear and you will see all your log over there. Just in case that you're wondering. But other than that, this is like quick feature, but at the same time, very useful for when we are working with containers.
Yeah, I think this is at least for me, I think this is a good feature to figure out, like, if what part of the process is slow. Is it AZD? Is it Docker? Do I need to optimize my Docker image? Like, what piece is taking the longest? So beyond just the errors, I think this is, at least I like to see more info as a developer. Cool. Yes. A small but mighty feature, I feel like.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it doesn't matter the width of your console, how big it is, it will adapt to the size of your terminal. So
yeah, nice.
Yep. Start
Chris,
using it and provide feedback.
Yeah, Chris loves this transparency. We love to hear it. But yeah, if you have feedback on this, let us know if this is the right amount of kind of verbosity or clarity or transparency or whatever you want to call it, or if you have other ideas for how we can improve kind of the transparency of our commands, let us know. We're always interested to see what information is valuable to everyone. Cool. All right, Victor, you're off the hook. Talk to you later.
Bye. Nice to be here.
I feel like I have so much power. I'm like, I bring them on and I take them off, and I don't know. StreamYard makes this super easy, so I feel like on like any other platform, it would be such a pain to kind of finagle all this. But all right, we are bringing Brandon on to talk about vscode stuff, our extension. Hi, Brandon. You are muted.
Every call has to have at least one. Hey, Savannah, how are you?
I'm good. I feel like this has happened to me on a number of calls, and every time it happens, I'm like 3 years, through the pandemic, and I still don't know how to unmute. But at the same time, I feel like it creates an air of relatability, like everything happens to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Tell us about VS Code.
Right.
What happened? What have we changed?
So I've added some editing features for azure.yaml files in VS Code. Most of them are covered from the YAML extension provided by Red Hat. Some more features that we added are some errors that'll show up if a project is referenced that doesn't exist. And if you rename a project, it'll suggest a rename, and I can demo all of these features now for you.
It's all you.
I think I'm zoomed in enough.
Yeah.
So here I've got an azure.yaml file open, and some of the features provided by the YAML extension are hover tips, so you can see tool tips when you hover over something, talking about what you're hovering over. Completion, so I can start typing something and get a completion there. And also some syntax, or excuse me, schema and syntax validation. So if I misspell host, I'll get an error saying that property host is not allowed. Another feature that we added was to validate the project folder that you have. So I've got source, API, foo, and web. I'm going to say web bad, we bad apparently. And as you can see, it shows an error for that. Another feature is the ability to rename things. So let's say I want to change this to front end. So it's going to ask if I want to make changes. I can show a preview of the changes that it wants to make, and it's showing in azure.yaml. I'm going to change ./source/web to ./source as front end. Feature that I added was this here. So you can click and drag and then shift drop, and it'll add a project right into your Azure YAML file. And you can tab through. This is a Python project, so I'll pick Python, and let's say it's a function. So we'll have the host be Azure Functions.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what I got.
I think all these are great. I think sometimes it seems trivial, but having talked to many developers, paths are hard sometimes, and I think this makes it a little easier for folks, especially with the rename, folder rename refactoring, and then the sort of more novel drag and drop. I'm really interested to see how people find the drag and drop and also discover it. If you start using it, let us know. I think our one of my concerns is that people won't be able to find that feature, but I think it's very useful.
Yep, I think I share the same concern, but I thought it was pretty neat, and it turned out to be pretty simple to implement too. So
yeah, definitely try it out. Let us know what you think. I think it's also pretty cool that it like has the right tab indentation and like kind of auto fills some of the values, and the tab through the different properties in the service is also very cool. Cool. Any questions about the VS Code updates, folks, or anything really? Let us know. Otherwise, I think Brandon, you are also off the hook. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Oh, Mandy loves the drag and drop. We love the drag and drop. Big fans. Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. See you in a bit, Brandon. Okay, let's bring the deck back up. And I'm going to hand it to Grace to go through the last couple slides.
Do we want to circle back to Matt right now?
Oh,
if
yeah.
he's able to share his screen?
I totally forgot. Oh, that was a real spoiler. Okay, Matt, you didn't get off that easy. Okay, so let's go. Okay, Matt, what's happening with resource group scope deployments?
Savannah truly has all the power here. So resource group scope deployments. So we showed a little bit about this, I think, at the last community call. I kind of talked through it, and so I'll try not to repeat myself too much. The net difference between what we had in the last community call and what we have today is that resource group deployment scope deployments also now work with pipeline config. So if you have a deployment targets resource group scope and you use azd pipeline config to set your pipeline up, it will set up all of the correct environment variables so that the pipeline can work in that mode. And I can walk through a little bit of what you can do here to sort of take an existing thing that's targeting subscription scope and move it to something that targets resource group scope if you want to do that, but also just to give you a flavor of the changes that are going on. And there's a really good link here. Thank you for making an AKS link instead of the giant GitHub diff link that will bring you to a page, which I will go ahead and show now. So in theory, and now I can no longer see the StreamYard, Savannah, so you have to tell me, is this on the screen and working good?
It is showing. Maybe we should zoom in like one more time.
One more?
And the chat can keep me honest and tell me if it needs to.
Okay.
We need to zoom and enhance again, but I think that looks pretty good.
We'll do that. Okay. So this is basically the thing you will get if you follow that AKS link, and it's just a diff showing how I took the existing to-do Node.js Mongo app and converted it from a subscription level deployment to a resource group scope deployment. So we can walk and then change the pipeline so that it would work sort of in the pipeline in this way. So we can look first at the changes to the bicep. They're actually pretty straightforward. So this target scope thing at the top that says this bicep target subscription, you can just remove that because the default is resource group. I think you can also change this to be resource group if you wanted, but deleting it is fine. And then I just kind of changed some things here, like the resource group name property no longer exists on this thing because the resource group is going to be created outside of the template instead of inside the template. And we can see that sort of happening here. So in the old template, part of the things we would deploy was this resource group. And then we would deploy sort of all of our modules into it. And now you can see in the new version, we no longer deploy the resource group because AZD is going to create it for us before we do the initial deployment, or have us select an existing resource group that we can use. And because this thing is now a resource group scope deployment, it means we no longer need this scope parameter when we're sort of using all of these modules. So that's kind of the net difference in the Bicep. Folks who have written Bicep before that sort of targets resource groups, this will feel very natural to you. So then the other changes are in the pipeline config, so that we can sort of use this at runtime. And there are sort of two changes that you have to make. The first is that since the resource group scope deployment feature still is in alpha, you need to configure AZD in your pipeline to support that feature. So there's two ways you can do that. The first way you could do is have a step in your pipeline that runs azd config set alpha resource group deployments on. This is sort of the same command you would run at your terminal locally to sort of enable the feature. And that will work. The other option that you have is we also support this environment variable in all caps, azd alpha enable, and then resource group deployments, the same sort of thing that you would use here, except it's in all caps. And you can just set it to the string true or 1 or some sort of truthy value. True is great. And that's another way to do it. If you can sort of only set environment variables, if you can't run this command to persist settings, you can use these environment variables. And then the other environment variable that you need to do is make sure that when AZD is running, Azure _resource_ group is defined, and it points at the resource group that you want to deploy to. And so you'll see in these templates, we have added a reference to vars.azure resource group. These come from the action variables. So when you run azd pipeline configure, azd pipeline config, it goes and creates all these variables for you. There's things in here like your environment name, the client ID, the location you want to use. And then when you're using a resource group scope deployment, it will also set this Azure resource group variable. If you have an existing thing that you're trying to convert, you can either run azd pipeline config again, and it will go set this for you, or you can come into the GitHub Actions settings page and just go create the variable yourself, so that you can reference it from the pipeline. Once you've done all of that, you sort of just push and things work just like a normal GitHub Action run would. So here's an earlier push that I did. You can see we're doing the provision infrastructure here. You can see that it's warning us that the resource group scope deployment feature is in the alpha stage. And then when it goes and does the deployment, if you look here, you can see it gives you this link to the portal, and you sort of know this link is a resource group scoped link because it's got this resource groups thing in it. But the deployment and everything just sort of works as it did before. So you kind of don't need to learn anything new. So just with a few small changes, you can take an existing thing that deploys at subscription scope and move it to resource group scope, which might be helpful if in your environment you don't have permission to deploy at a subscription scope. You're working in an environment where maybe you have some centralized IT that gives you a resource group that you can deploy into, but you're not sort of allowed to go create those. Now you can use AZD with that, and then you can continue to use all the great stuff that we have throughout the tool, like pipelines, and that all stuff just works the way that you thought it would. So that's basically the demo, and we're excited for you to play around with this and give us some feedback on it. And once we sort of think that we've got the right feel here, we'll move it from alpha into beta, sort of like we do for all of our other big features that we progress through this life cycle, and then eventually it will become GA. So that's resource group scoped deployments.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm gonna take that off the screen. I'll bring the link back up just so that folks can grab it if they haven't already. But I think like the thing that was when I saw that the diff from that PR or whatever you made, Matt, like I was surprised at how minimal it was to actually convert something from subscription scope to resource group scope, which is pretty neat. So if you're interested, definitely check out this link and see how simple it is, because it actually isn't very invasive at all. Cool. Okay, now you're like officially off the hook. We got here, and we will talk a bit about community contributions. So we'll see in a sec, Matt. Thank you. Okay, let's bring the deck back up. I'm going to take this down. I gotta click like 4 buttons. Gotta advance the slides a bunch. Lots of great stuff this release. Okay, Grace, now you're up.
Yeah. All right. So we just wanted to say thank you to our community contributors for this past month. Liam Hampton, who contributed a fix for Quick Start, and then also Jay. I spent a long time trying to figure out how to pronounce this name, and I realized that he just spelled out W because it's his last name starts with a W. But so JW, who updated the bicep.go to bump it to a newer version. I also did want to take a second to acknowledge that Christian in chat suggested or said that he thinks we need to create badges and stickers that say I'm an AZD superfan, which I think is a super fun idea. So thank you for that, Christian.
I'm still trying to figure out, like, I have AZD stickers, but I just like don't know how to distribute them at scale. And so I'm still investigating this. I like got a bunch made, and I know there's like a large handful of folks scattered around the world that have been asking for them. Especially I post them on Twitter, and people were very more excited than I thought they would be, which was awesome.
People do love stickers.
It's true. You all should see my laptop. It's out of control. The one other thing I wanted to, it's not on this slide, it was on the DevContainer slide, is I wanted to specifically also call out Aaron Powell, who was a huge help in landing the DevContainer feature, working with Marina on that. And so I wanted to extend a big thank you there as well. Just wanted to make sure we didn't miss Aaron. Cool.
Yeah, and then as always, let us know if you have any feedback. You can, I think we have like the discussions on GitHub, open issues if you need to. We always want your feedback. And then of course, we also want to help you shape the future of AZD and sign up for user research opportunities. I think I'm allowed to say this, but I think we'll be doing some user studies next month. And we would love for people, and especially in this live stream, to join in on that user research if it's something that they're interested in. And you can use the link that's here, AKMS/AZD user research sign up, and sign up to be part of our research.
Yeah, and I think actually I did mention, so we are working on a feature that allows you to bring your own repo to AZD, which would alleviate you from having to find a template. And so that's the thing we're doing user research on. We have some designs that we're working on, that we're working with Austin, our UX designer, to build out, and just trying to make sure that user experience makes sense and feels very idiomatic and familiar for AZD users, and feels approachable for folks who are unfamiliar with Azure. And so if you're interested in shaping that experience, which would be a huge feature for AZD, definitely sign up, and you might be contacted to be part of our study. So very exciting stuff coming down the pipe with that one.
Definitely. I wasn't sure how much I was allowed to say about it, so I was waiting for you to reveal if possible.
Oh, we are open source. It is on GitHub, y'all. I should probably just have the link handy, but there's an epic that tracks kind of all the investigations and work going into that feature. So it's called application fingerprinting. If you are interested in snooping around on GitHub, it's not really snooping because it's there. Christian actually has a question. Any update on moving Terraform to beta? Same on Pulumi. So with Terraform, I think what we're waiting for is kind of more usage. Right now, we're sort of in a state where most of our templates and most of the usage that we've seen has been in Bicep. And so if you're actively using Terraform, I would love to talk with you and hear more about your experience using Terraform with AZD. I think getting more info there from folks that are using AZD with Terraform would be helpful in kind of informing the decision to move it to beta. But yeah, and then on the Pulumi side, that is still I think it's still our #1 most upvoted issue. I think we're still in a phase where we are trying to investigate how we want to support that, because as you can imagine, like, we can't necessarily upstream every piece of technology into AZD. And so I think one of the explorations we want to do there is maybe in the future supporting something like a plugin model, which might proceed wanting to add support for Pulumi. But we're still kind of in early days there. Probably we'll know more in maybe the next couple of months, because we're doing planning and whatnot for the coming semesters right now. Cool. Liam. Well, thanks, Liam, for your contribution to AZD v1.1, and also thanks for your kind words. I know we're all very excited about AZD as well, so great to hear other folks are too. Christian also is asking about the plugin model. Yeah, we're exploring it. I think it's pretty early days there. We got a lot of stuff happening in AZD land these days, so just kind of trying to figure out how to sequence work. But yeah, definitely, like, let's chat more about kind of what you'd like to see. I'm interested to get feedback and kind of helping shape that. Cool. We can bring folks back on, I think, right, Grace? That's the last. I think that's the last slide.
Yeah, this is the last slide. Just open it up for discussion, which we've kind of already done.
Yeah, I mean, people are definitely easy. I'll bring Victor and Brandon. I'll take the slides down. I'm clicking like 6 buttons now, y'all. This is like a lot. We got a lot of folks from the AZD team on the call. Christian says AZD land is crazy and that he loves it. That's great. It is kind of a wild time. There's lots of stuff happening. Yeah, are there any like other questions for folks in the chat or for folks on the call? You got like a good chunk of the AZD engineering team here on the call today. I don't know if there's no questions. We can also, what are folks working on right now that they're excited to land in hope 1.2 or 1.3? Are there any things that you all are excited about?
I am excited. I don't know that it'll land in 1.2, but some of the stuff I've been playing around with to integrate credentials between the VS Code extension so that if you're using VS Code, you don't have to log into AZD separately. It can just use sort of the Microsoft account that you've associated with VS Code. I think that's very exciting. And it's exciting, I think, not only for end users, but it's exciting for the engineers on the team as well, because we get to go kind of tread some new ground and build some new things. And so that's been fun prototyping that with Brandon and figuring out what we might do there. So that's what's got me excited.
I'm also very excited for that. I think I told Matt earlier this week when I saw the demo that he understood the assignment for figuring that out. But yeah, I feel like kind of unifying those is definitely like a nice user experience win. Because right now you kind of have to auth twice, and maybe there's some like inconsistencies between where you could be logged into 2 different accounts, and so kind of centralizing that. I'm really excited about that work too.
We've also got, I think, some really great stuff from Wallace, who isn't here. He's enjoying his vacation, but improvements to our AKS support, specifically around making it easier to sort of do replacements in templates moving to a syntax that's kind of more like Helm, and makes it easier to reference bash environment variables and everything. We've started to get some use on that feature, which is in beta from the community, and found some holes in it. And Wallace has done a great job plugging those holes and I think making the whole thing overall just better. So I'm excited for that to ship in 1.2.
Yeah, for sure. I think also as we start thinking about adding Helm chart support, that kind of, I know a lot of like the Python data science use cases actually make use of Helm for there's an issue around that too, but I think it'll open up the Kubernetes ecosystem a little bit more for us, which is exciting. Victor, what are you excited about? You're working on a pretty cool thing right now.
Yeah. Hopefully we will be able to see the previewing provisioning infrastructure before actually deploying your resources to Azure, which will be very useful for anyone who is interested to see what is going to be created in Azure before actually creating it. This will be helpful. So that's.
Yeah, that one I think will be super, super helpful. I will also I'll put that one on blast, as they might say on the internet. But I have a link to the PR where we're taking a look at that right now, and y'all can see what Victor's talking about. But I think that one will be really helpful. I know that we've been kind of spinning the wheels in that one, or it's been in the backlog for a while. So yeah, cool. Any other questions? Marina, you're working on some like awesome AZD stuff this iteration? Some big design updates.
Yeah, I'm working on the we have also ADD website to display the community templates. I'm working on how to make the UI better, implement it. It will be next iteration. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. There's a lot of stuff. We'll have to go into that one. So, but I'm excited for those designs to land. I know that we've been talking about those ones for quite a while as well. Cool. I don't know. Are there any other things folks think would be interesting for everyone tuning in, or any other questions? Otherwise, I think this is it, and we'll see you in a month. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm gonna call it. You know where to find us on the internet. You can pop into our. Where are we here? So as always, this is the repo for all of the great work the team's doing on AZD. Definitely weigh in on discussions, file issues. Come chat with us. Let us know how AZD's been working for you. There's also a handful of us on Twitter. For better or for worse, you can come find us there or on other social media platforms as well. Also linked to the docs. As always, we are updating that. Oh, the one thing we didn't mention, Grace, the Learn modules.
I can't believe I forgot about those.
You've been working hard on them. We completely spaced on talking about them.
We did. I think we have a short link. I don't know if you have it in here, but we do have 2 Learn modules out right now. I think one Learn module out right now, and the other one is coming soon. But it's, I think, 5 sections, and it's just an introduction to AZD. So if you're in this call and haven't used AZD before and aren't sure where to start, the Learn modules are a great place. I can't think of the short link off the top of my head.
If you just go, I think if you literally just Google AZD or Azure Developer CLI Learn modules, it'll pop up. I don't have an ACCA link for that, but we can also get it added to the show notes too.
Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely, we have other ones coming down the pipe that are a little bit more advanced than the kind of intro to AZD too. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we completely spaced on talking about that.
Too.
Yeah. Lots of stuff happening in AZD land these days. Okay, cool. I think that just about covers us for this community call, folks. We will have another release. I think it's slated for I want to say it's the 8th or 9th of August. And so we will be back here the following week, probably on the 16th or 17th of August, for another community call to learn about 1.2. With that, thanks for tuning in, folks. Come say hi on the internet. We will see you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thanks.
Talk to y'all later.